So I wanted to go and do this video because somebody said to me the other day, they're like, so who is the most famous disability attorney in America? Like, who's the disability lawyer that everybody knows? And what my thoughts were very different than that person's thoughts. I think the metric, like the bar would use, like the standard on who would judge who's like the most famous of whatever, would be who's the most viewed, who's the most subscribed to, who's the most clicked, whatever, right? Which would be me. But I don't think of myself as the most famous disability attorney in my head when I think about the people I know, because there's a long line of people who essentially were way more famous than I could ever be. Like they did something or they were somebody that was just way beyond what I was. Like, there were big shoes, and some of those shoes I wanted to fill, and some of them I didn't. Some of them did criminal acts where I was like, holy cannoli. So first off, I just want to get right up front with it. We've had a long road. We've done thousands and thousands of videos together. And as a result of that and the amount of subscribers, YouTube has officially sent me the acknowledgement notification of inducting me into basically this special honorary group. And I'm going to share with you essentially what's in this package. And then I'm going to share with you what I feel are some of the most famous disability attorneys that are out there. There's a super, really nice piece of paper. I don't even have access to paper this nice from YouTube. Goes through basically your 100,000 subscribers, which is really cool. And then we get past this just really thicker than paper money, obviously made out of something other than paper, piece of paper. And we get to the thing. Here's the thing right here. So here is basically the official creator award. It's quite heavy, surprisingly. Disability Resolution PA, which is of course the law firm that I do all this stuff under. It's really three-dimensional. I mean, look at that. Look at this. Look at how that deep that is. It's absolutely incredible. So it's just awesome. It's just really, really awesome. So bottom line is this. I want to thank all of you guys for making this channel so successful. Over 100,000 subscribers. By the time I got it, we had over 115,000 subscribers. So the channel is growing, and people really enjoy, they like the content because it's the real deal. It's not the fluff of this stimulus is coming tomorrow. Are you ready for your Easter Bunny stimulus? It's not that crap. Although there's a lot of those out there. And to be fair, I know some of the people now who do those videos and like, they're making a living. That's just what they do. They're making a living. That's how they make their living. It's literally how they afford to go on their cruises. That's what it is. But anyways, the point is, I wanted to share with you people that in my mind represent the most famous disability attorneys. And the first person that comes to mind is Richard Schwartz. Mr. Richard Schwartz, Attorney Richard Schwartz, I was his first intern in his 50 years at that time of practice. And that was 15 to 20 something years ago. And I was his first intern. I was working directly with him. And that was probably when the egg was cracked in my world when it comes to legal. I was getting direct information as to how the court system worked, how the judges worked, because he was a prior judge for disability benefits. Direct information on how the system worked from behind the curtain. And it's nothing like what is produced on the website of the SSA. But you wouldn't know unless you were able to be the intern of somebody who had at that time been practicing for over 50 years. He continued to practice, I believe, for another 15 years to 70 years until he ultimately retired. And just to make something very clear, to my knowledge, he is the longest practicing Social Security disability attorney in the history of Social Security disability benefits, to my knowledge. I think he almost reached 70 years of practicing it, which is just unfathomable for me. And I agree, Slatherings, we need a gold one now. I agree. Diane Fernandez, thank you for the $10 donation. That's absolutely amazing. And also April, thank you for the $5 donation. These donations, guys, they help me get treats for the dogs, because literally they won't be quiet in this room unless I have given them treats to appease them. That's right. And Shadow is right behind me, just so adorable. But bottom line is this. The other thing it helps me buy are things like gear, newer, better, upgraded this or that or whatever gear. So we have some really cool stuff coming up, but it takes forever to set this gear up and like set the room up. And And I get a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there. So, I'm working it. Now, another disability attorney that I think is really famous was basically David Black Doherty, 81, of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, was sentenced by U.S. District Judge Danny C. Reeves of the Eastern District of Kentucky, who also ordered Doherty to pay restitution of over $93 million to the SSA and HHS. Doherty pleaded guilty in May of 2017 to 2 counts of receiving illegal gratuities. So just to put this in like the scheme of things, if we're talking money, like big money criminal activity as a famous disability judge or disability attorney, however you want to look at it, this one takes the cake. This is the whole cake, and you can take a piece. I'm going to read straight from the justice.gov website. According to admissions made as part of his guilty plea, beginning in 2004, Doherty, as an ALJ assigned to the SSA's Huntington, West Virginia hearing office, sought out pending disability cases in which Kentucky attorney Eric Christopher Kahn, also one of the most famous disability attorneys because of the fraud that was being committed. So Eric Christopher Kahn represented claimants and reassigned those cases to basically, David Black Doherty, okay, who was a judge. And so as a result of that, Doherty, the judge, was getting claims, fraudulently picked and pulled by essentially attorney Eric Christopher Kahn of Kentucky. And many of you guys will remember some of the advertising that was done where it was like, I'll win 100% of the claim, 100% of the time I win, impossible statistics. Doherty then contacted Kahn and identified the cases he intended to decide the following month, and further solicited Kahn to provide medical documentation supporting either physical or mental disability determinations. Without exception, Doherty awarded disability benefits to individuals represented by Kahn, in some instances without first holding a hearing. As a result of Doherty's awarding disability benefits to claimants represented by Kahn, Kahn paid Doherty an average of approximately $8,000 per month in cash until approximately April of 2011. All told, Doherty received more than $609,000 in cash from Kahn for deciding approximately 3,149 cases. As a result of the scheme, Kahn and Doherty and their co-conspirators obligated the SSA to pay more than $550 million in lifetime benefits to claimants based upon cases Doherty approved for which he received payments from Kahn. And remember, one of the big problems with this whole situation was now that these people were found disabled, some of them should have been found disabled, some of them shouldn't have been found disabled. What do you do with those who shouldn't have been found disabled? Do you give an overpayment? I'm going to do a whole thing on that case because I've studied it and it's really interesting. Anyways, so to me, when I think who's the most, famous in that regard, well, 550 million in damages against the SSA, that's a whopper. That is a Whopper Deluxe. That is a big burger. And then the other one I think of too, when I think of disability attorneys, everybody knows the classic Binder and Binder cowboy hat, right? Cowboy hat on their head, commercials, while Friends is on TV, all those cute, 90s shows and whatever, and early 2000s shows and stuff like that you just watch on TV in your junky giant big box TV. And so, the Binders, and they had a rough go of things. They got huge, but they were actually bought out by a financial entity. And then they basically went bankrupt because they spent way too much money on advertising. I mean, their commercials were friggin' everywhere all the time. They were just over and over and over. Binder and Binder, let us worry about it, blah, 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 blah. Binder and Binder, over and over and over again. To me, and I think they're back in business, are still doing stuff now. But to me, in my brain, that's really the most famous disability attorney when it comes to advertising, because their numbers must have been astronomical, but they were advertising so much they couldn't afford it and they went bankrupt. So that to me is another one of those. I think the current title, The Crown, would go to this channel. But I will say this: what's really interesting is that my amount of views, very high, very high. It's 1 million views a month, or a little less or a little bit more, depending on what month it is. But what's interesting is that if I have that many views in that amount of period, I'm supposed to have significantly more subscribers, way more subscribers. So to me, what I've realized is that when people watch my videos, they don't really like me the first time, or like me enough to subscribe the first time that they watch me. I'm one of those like 2 or 3 videos down the line. I'm an acquired taste kind of disability attorney where they'll then kind of be like, okay, I guess also that's good info. It helped me win my claim, my benefit. All right, I'll go ahead and subscribe. So what's interesting about this is that they go through this like, this thing where there a lot of people watch them. A lot of people watch them, but not a lot of people subscribe because the subscription numbers should be way higher for that many viewers. So I always thought that was very interesting. But I wanted to take a moment to explain to you, who are some of the heroes in disability law that I think Richard Schwartz is definitely one of them, who's now retired, but practiced, I believe, the longest in Social Security disability law. Longer than actually, now that I think about it, hold on, let me check something real quick. Hold on. SSI was passed into law by Nixon in 72. Okay, cool. But they didn't start paying him until 1974. So let's use 1974 because he would be working on them during that point. So 1974. So if hold on, let me get an age calculator real quick. Age calculator. If he were actually practicing claims for 70 years, so let's say we go back 70 years from now. So let's do, I'm not even sure what the hell that would be. Let's put like 1974 and just see what that comes up with. That's only 50 years. It's been only 50 friggin' years. Wow. 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 So it's only been 50 years since SSI has been paying. So technically, I know de facto, because he had been practicing more than that when I met him, or just slightly more than that. So Richard Schwartz, Attorney Schwartz, had actually been practicing before SSI was in existence. Jeez. And it's weird too, because like to me, SSI has always existed. It's always been there. It's always been there. But to him, he came from the era before the internet, before laptops, before traditional computers that we have today. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to think. And that was the guy who taught me. That's where it all started. I was in love with a woman, very pretty, who was the daughter of Mr. Schwartz. And she said, I want you to go learn how to afford my, dressage, horseback riding, fees, costs, whatever. So go learn from dad. So I went and learned from dad. And, that basically was the beginning to this whole thing. And, the amazing thing about it is that he was practicing Social Security from before it even existed for SSI benefits. That's just mind-boggling. Wait. Let's look up SSDI because that was the 1950s. Hold on, let me look that up real quick. Let's see, when was SSDI started? Hold on, let me get the exact year here. July 1956. Hold on. Let's do this thing real quick. July 1956. Hold on, 1956. Okay, so 67. Wow, that's incredible. So that must have been it. He must have started doing this in the very beginning. 67 years, 6 months, and 0 days. So I know that he practiced disability law for at least 65 years because I remember hearing about the pin he got from the Florida bar for how many years of practice he had had. It was like a 65-year pin. I remember that story because he was going to like some dinner where they were like celebrating him. But he might have actually been there at the beginning. I'll have to reach out to him and see if he was there at the beginning, at the literal, like the beginning. Now, remember, that's 1956. So 1957, they probably started paying out. He might have been. Wow. Yeah, Gary Katowski said 1957. Yeah, I'd say 1957 because that's when they start paying him out. Guys, imagine that. I have to ask him if he literally was one of the first attorneys to be working on this. Oh, actually, I remember being in his office and him pointing at a picture of people. There was one of them signing it in 1930s, though. That was Social Security retirement. And then there was another picture, I think, where he showed me that had people in it that were part of like a committee talking about this stuff. He might have been on the committee for, I don't know. I don't know. Cause remember, this was 15, 20 years ago that I was sitting in his office learning, but, and I am a child of disability law. Like if you guys are wondering, like, how does somebody that age, 37 end up this far with this famous, this whatever in disability law? It's because I've literally been in it a long time for my age. And, I learned from some of the greatest people and then took their systems and kept improving upon them. But he might have been on the actual group, the committees that were working on Social Security benefits back then. And they made him a judge at some point through that. And I remember this. I don't know if I should. I think he'd be fine with me sharing this. He said to me that he was too liberal with his decisions and they wanted him off the court. So they pulled him off the court. I remember that. And it was just so, because it was different back then. It was different. I remember liberal back then was like approving almost every claim. Because approval ratings in the 60s and 70 percentiles were like, that was normal. That was standard. That was normal. Like nowadays, approvals at like 41%, 42% are normal. But back then it was approvals at like, 65, 75%. That was normal. But he was approving like almost every claim. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful day. I will continue to obviously make videos. Who is the most famous disability attorney? It changes depending on what category you're looking at. Who's the most famous criminal? There's the guy with the $550 million against the SSA. Who's the most viewed and subscribed to nowadays? That would probably be me. Who has the most clients? That specifically does disability law, that like actually doesn't just own a firm, but like is the one doing the amount of claims. I don't even know who that would be. Don't know who that would be. Because what happens with these disability firms that like become big is that one person owns it who becomes famous in the industry, and then they have a zillion attorneys just working the claims or non-attorneys working the claims. So that's not really like their claim. They're not the one working it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, got to kind of hear my side of it. And we had a really cool thing checking out the years there, but that might be it. He might have actually been, because he did before disability law, some other law, and I don't remember what it was. I would see, here's the thing too. I would reach out to him, but in order to do that, I would have to call her. I don't want to call her. I just don't want to, because she's married now though. She has a kid, somebody else. So I guess I could call her. Yeah. But very interesting world, anyways, guys, I'll catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you for being a part of this like celebratory video. And thank you for being there in order to go ahead and become a part of this amazing thing. And I will continue to make great videos. I'll continue to release amazing content, and we will have even more production, like higher level production in the future. So I'll catch up with you guys a little bit later. Super thank you to all of our amazing members. I see Cynthia Castle, Old School Truck Driver Diane Fernandez. Absolutely love it. Also, super thank you to those who donated, April, and then also Diana with the big donation there, which is awesome. I will catch you guys a little bit later. Please remember to like, please remember to subscribe, and have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you later. Alrighty, bye-bye. Bye-bye.